I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Rob and Rob.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Ask Rob and Rob. This is our fourth in a series that we will probably keep going as long as you need it and want it. This week we've got a great question coming in, and each week we will take a question, answer it as best we can, and give you some advice and guidance. Simple as that. It's a simple format, simple, short, and hopefully really useful advice.
If you'd like to submit your own question for us to answer, it's as easy as making a phone call. All you need to do is give us a call on 013 808 00035. That's 013 808 00035. Give us your name, give us your question, and we'll answer it on the show for you. If you'd prefer to leave a message through your computer rather than through your phone, you can do that as well. Go to thepropertyhub.net/podcast and you'll see a link to leave us a voicemail on there. Whichever way you do it, we'd love to hear from you.
And we have to thank Sam Brown this week for leaving the following question.
Hi, I'm Sam Brown from London. Hi, Rob and Rob, and thank you for the opportunity to leave you a question. Okay, my question's this. I have a couple of BTL properties now, and my letting agent has suggested I get rental guarantee insurance. It costs about £100 per calendar month, so it's a massive outlay over the course of a year. And I've heard mixed reports of this kind of insurance and would be really keen to hear your thoughts. Thanks.
Okay, so Sam's letting agent is suggesting rent guarantee insurance. This is something you never really used to hear about, but it's becoming more popular. The best way to answer this question is probably to say whether it's something that we use ourselves. In my case, it's something that I never used to use, but I've started now, and these days I would be hesitant to take on a property without it. Rob, where do you stand on it?
I do by default. I'm pretty comfortable. You know, with things like insurance, I think you can overdo it, but I think you need the basics in there. Rental insurance is a luxury, but now I've started putting my properties with Yellow Lettings, I get it by default. Because Yellow Lettings uses a rent-on-time service, something we can explain what that is in a moment. So it really does depend on you as an individual. I think, first of all, it's important to establish what it is. It is like it sounds, that if you have a tenant and they stop paying their rent, the insurance company will then pay you. Now, that's what it is in its simplest form, but it's important to understand there are varying levels.
Yes, there are. So, like with anything, you can pay different prices and end up with different kind of levels of service. Your typical kind of rent guarantee will require the tenants to be a month in arrears before they take over payments. So if they miss a payment on the 1st of January, you'll then have to wait until after the 1st of February before the insurer starts paying out. And you also need to be careful because there are always requirements around how you notify them. So there might be a requirement to notify the insurer within a certain number of days of a missed payment. Otherwise, it'll invalidate the claim. The one that we use at Yellow Lettings is a little bit more expensive, but it pays out instantly. So if, going back to my example, on the 1st of January, you don't get a payment from the tenant, you'll still get a payment from the insurance company. Also, these insurances should keep paying out all the way through until you've got vacant possession. So you'll want to make sure that they don't stop at any point. What you ideally want is for them to keep paying every month up until the point when the tenant has left and you've got your property back again. And most of these policies will pay the legal fees for eviction as well. And that is what makes it quite a compelling option for me. Like, if a tenant is a week late with the rent, these things happen. It's not going to ruin my life. However, you could get a tenant who won't pay for a couple of months. Then you'll have to go through the whole eviction process, and it could be 6 months or more until you've got them out, during which time you need to still be making your mortgage payments and all the rest of it. The likelihood of having a tenant like that, if you've done your referencing properly, is low, but you have to consider whether it's something that you're willing and able to deal with if the worst does happen.
Another thing to be aware of as well is the possible charges of excess. So you may get your rent paid out, but you may have a charge if, say, you pay the first 100 of the rent that went missing, or it may be higher. Some don't have it at all. For example, the one we use doesn't have it at all. So you check that out as well. As Rob's alluded to already, cheapest doesn't really mean the best. So check it out. Are they going to pay on day one? Are they going to pay further down the line? Are they going to charge you excess? How much will they pay up to? Check all these things out. because you may find that the one that came up best price may not necessarily be best cover. So make sure you check that out too. But ultimately, it comes down to your tolerance to risk. I'm pretty comfortable with these things, and I've been fairly lucky over the years. So I've not really bought much insurance, but I've not really had to pay out much either. But Rob has changed, and now he goes, more down the insurance route. It's up to you as an individual. You know yourself best. If it's going to keep you up at night, then maybe consider insurance. If you're fairly laid back, then, you're probably fine as you are.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, on the Property Geek podcast, I interviewed someone who is an insurance broker for a living. He knows everything about insurance. And I asked him what insurance he has. And he said that he didn't do rent guarantee insurance because to him, it's like the insurer will only back a winning horse. They will want to see the references for the tenant. And if it looks like they're almost guaranteed to pay up on time every month, then they'll guarantee them. And it's like, well, why would I bother with that? If I'm taking on a good risk in the first place, then it's just not worth it. And I completely agree. I mean, logic tells you that insurance companies need to make money. Therefore, over the very, very long term, you're almost certain to be better off if you don't take out insurance and you just deal with the rough and the smooth along the way. In my case, maybe I'm just getting a bit old and conservative, but I don't want to have the ups and downs along the way. I just want to have the risk completely taken off the table so I do not have to worry at all. So as Rob says, more than a financial decision, it's kind of a personal attitude decision. And that's one for you to make. But hopefully we've given you there some factors that you can look out for. So if you do go down this route, you can make sure that you're getting a product which is going to do what you want it to do.
A final point I'd make though, Sam, is £100 per month sounds pretty expensive. I don't know what the rent of your property is, but £100 a month does sound fairly expensive. The guarantee that we talked about within Yellow Lettings is actually wrapped up in the normal management fee that we charge. As I said, I've kind of contradicted myself because I've said cheapest necessarily isn't best, but we've actually got a really expensive product, but we've just managed to find a way to wrap it in the normal pricing. £100 a month on top. It sounds pretty aggressive. So shop around, but when you do shop around, check the policy in detail. So look for a good deal, but check that it really is a good deal. Makes sense? Probably not, but hopefully you can rewind it and have another go. So that's insurance. Hopefully we kept that fairly interesting and useful for everyone. If you'd like to get any of the links or the messages that we put across today, then go to thepropertyhub.net/property advice. That's thepropertyhub.net/property advice. You can get all the links and information we've discussed today.
And if you'd like to come along and spend a day with us and other smart, motivated property investors, then you might want to consider coming along to a Property Hub Summit. We only do 4 of them each year, and there are only 16 people in each session. So if it's something you're interested in, it's worth getting booked in sooner rather than later because they do tend to get booked up quite a long way in advance quite quickly. Really easy to do. Just text the word summit followed by a space and then your email address to 88802. That's the word summit, then a space and your email address to 88802 and we'll be in touch.
Okay, so that's another question, another answer. See how we do this? Next week will be exactly the same and hopefully you'll learn from that one too. In between, you've got the Property Podcast on Thursday, so make sure you join us for that one too. Oh, 2 podcasts in a week, you lucky so-and-sos. But until then, thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.